Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana, and I am so excited to be celebrating 10 years of meaningful conversations with you. As we step into our new primetime hour, it's such an honor to share this exciting new chapter with you. So whether you're starting your day out, headed to work, or listening from wherever you are, this hour is designed to bring you thoughtful dialogue, fresh insight, and inspiring stories so you can make every moment count. So thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive in. We're here today with special guest Lisa Winston, who's here to share with us kindness stones. What if one small act of kindness could change someone's entire day, or perhaps even their life? Well, today's guest is here to share with us just that. Lisa Winston is an intuitive, abstract, and mixed media artist, 5 times #1 international bestselling author, professional vocalist of more than 40 years, and devoted mom whose creative life is guided by intuition, energy, and heart. So welcome to the show, Lisa Winston.
Oh, Marianne, you know that we've known each other a long time, and I am so grateful and blessed that we've reconnected and that I have the opportunity to share where I'm at right now. So thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness. Well, what a great honor it is just to have you here and have
Oh.
this just great discussion. I'm so excited because we've known each other for a while.
Mhm.
And it seems like every time we reconnect, it's just like no time has passed. But my
Absolutely.
goodness, you have been busy.
Well, you know how it is as an entrepreneur, right? You have
Hmm.
to keep moving forward, and whatever intuitively comes into your being, you have to. Well, you don't have to, but you get to do it. And so, I'm always being called to something. I'm moving around and shifting a lot, but that's how I roll. So
I expect no
you understand,
less.
right?
Yes, I do. So let's talk about these kindness stones. I'm
Oh,
so excited. I
oh,
understand because I purchased one and I have
yes,
it
you did.
showing up here soon. But what inspired you to create kindness stones? And what was the moment you knew this idea needed to be shared with
Oh,
others?
that's such a great question. I've been doing primarily canvases, painting canvases, and I don't know, about a year and a half ago, a friend of mine introduced me to stones, and so I started, painting on the little, river rocks. And it wasn't that much fun. They were kind of hard to paint on. So anyway, she introduced me to the Santorini Greek marble, and when I got them, I fell in love with them. They're shining and glittery and glistening and magical, and they love color. They just they make vibrant color more vibrant. And so I started working on them. When I work on them, I'm very peaceful and calm because of the world the way it is right now. We all it's best if we all have something we can focus on other than social media and what's going on in the world. So I really started to use those as a calming place for myself. And then, of course, the kindness movement is growing. My partner, Dr. Joe Vitale, he's in a kindness movie. We both wear kindness shirts all the time. One of my dear friends, Rosie Aiello, I don't know if you know her or not, she's in San Diego. She had started something with her daughter called Love is Kind, the Love is Kind movement. And so it's just seems like it's exploding right now, and especially now because people feel like the world isn't very kind, and it isn't right now. And so we, as communities and as people, need to come together with each other and find a way to uplift each other and uphold each other. So for me, I just had one of those inspired downloads, where it just comes into your head, that this is what you need to do. And I went ahead and I searched for my URLs, and lo and behold, kindnessstones.com was there, which was probably a rare thing because, it's a great name. I did it, and you always know when you get inspired hits and you act on them that they are exactly what you're supposed to do because you move forward on it, you take action on it. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's been a little bit of a challenge. I have somebody helping me with it, but I'm excited about it. It's not quite done yet, but we're getting there.
Oh my goodness. Well, I love the one that I purchased. I think it is
I do too.
amazing. Oh my
Mm.
God. And it's going to be on my desk. It's
Oh, I
just
love
such a beautiful piece of light.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, of course. And your art is just so amazing.
Mm.
So, how would you describe the intention behind each of the kindness stones that you create? And how do you hope someone receives it?
I love that. If you know anything about kindness rocks, there was a movement a long time ago. And kindness rocks were created on river stone, river rocks. And people would create them and then put them around, in people's yards and, various places where they would find them, which is really cool and magical. And I love that. But what I love about what I'm doing is that it's intentional. When I do events and I'm out in the public, people have just been, my stones have been selling out because people would come up and say, I have somebody who's ill, somebody's in the hospital, somebody's not feeling good. I've had other people say, they'll pick up a stone that says, I am strong. And they're like, I really need to carry this. So it's funny how, little pieces of material things can bring us hope and encouragement and joy and love. And so that's my intention, to spread those things to other people, and then have other people, because a lot of people gift these stones to other people who need it. And so my intention is, that these inspiring messages that are on the stones will lift people up and encourage them and, allow them to feel more love.
Well, no one's getting my stone. That's all I can say.
Oh, that is so cute. That's one of my favorite stones. That one's a little bit different. It's more painted, and I love that it was yours. It waited for a while until you found it, and it found you. But that brings me so much joy. You'll feel my love when you look at it every day.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait for it to arrive. And yeah, I understand because it does have so much, you could tell, like depth and love and
Mm.
energy that
Yeah,
comes with
energy.
it.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh. And it kind of reminds me, we've talked about the Santorini stones, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of energy with that too.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Santorini stones are interesting. I had a chance to look up the symbolism behind them, because whenever I talk to people, when I would go to a show, because it's really fun when when it's hard to capture a picture of the colors that are on paintings and also on the stones. And so when I'm out in the public eye, I would bring the actual stones, and the Greek marble actually has to be cut and tumbled by a supplier. So it's a lot of work. And so I like people to see that's my canvas. And when they look at them, they pick them up, and when the sunlight hits them, they just sparkle like crazy. They're just literally magical. And so when I looked up the symbolism of the Santorini Greek marble stones, it was always purity, strength, and immortality. And so marble comes from the Greek, I don't even know how to say it, marmaros. It's called a shining stone. It reflects light. And so what they say because this is, these have been used over centuries, and they always say that, like the art experts say, that Santorini Greek marble is the bridge between the earthly and the divine. And practically speaking, they're just beautiful. They make you feel good. They love color. They're easy to paint on, and they make people feel good.
Well, there's definitely something timeless about
Hmm.
not just your art, but the act of kindness.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think you're very well known for.
Oh,
So,
thank
how
you.
do these stones bring a very tangible, everyday experience to folks that might be like me that don't want to share their stones? Maybe some do. Yeah.
I love you so much. Oh my goodness. First of all, we have to remember that art, or even just creation, is healing. That's why this year more than ever, I like to encourage people to, they're always like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I'm like, you were born creative, whether that's gardening or cooking or whatever it is that you like to do. So the healing is, when I was going through the neural Lyme, and I almost died back in 2019, I literally got out my watercolors, and I started painting angry paintings, but it was a way for me to express, what I was feeling, and I had no words for. That's the cool thing about art. It's an expression that goes beyond words. It's almost like music. It's exactly like music, actually. And so it brings people together. with nature, because stones are from nature. A lot of times I paint nature on mine, like trees and things like that. And it's also the creation, the connection. And then I love how people receive those stones, where they buy those stones and they pay it forward. So it's just this magical thing, and it really is about, I think community is what's coming forward for me at this moment, that it connects us all in a special way.
So many people are longing for community. I can
Hmm.
understand that, especially to be part of something bigger. And
Hmm.
when we look at performing simple acts of kindness, I mean, you can't get much bigger than that.
No, it's simple, but it's profound. Really.
So, can you walk us through your creative process in making a kindness stone, just kind of from like concept to the finished product?
That's that's a great question. Joe always says, you need to let people know how much time these take. And I'm like, well, but this is really truly like, I will order my stones. They'll be cut, tumbled. It takes a couple of weeks to get here. I get my stones. I have a nice collection of my beautiful stones, which I love to feel. And, you know, they're beautiful. And so when they get to me, then I pick out the stones that I want it to do. And sometimes I do 10 to 20 at a time. I wash them, I dry them, and then I sit them in front of me. And I literally, this is what I do also with my paintings. I used to do things to elevate the frequencies. I used to have frequency devices and all kinds of things. But it's like I have become the channel. I've become the tool. So I sit, and if something doesn't come to me, I walk away. I really just get back into the flow. I like to be in flow. That's what really creates amazing things. And so then I get out, I use all kinds of things. I use alcohol ink, I use acrylic paint, watercolors, gold leaf, glitter, pens, collage, like literally I use everything. And then the last step of doing the stones is resin. You resin the stones. And it is so much fun. And I really love to do my larger paintings too, but I end up a lot of times, like I said, just sitting down with these because they bring me such peace and such joy. And they're so vibrant and bright. I'm going to send you one of the really crazy, vibrant ones sometime, and you'll see what I'm talking about with the bright pinks and all that. Um, so it takes me a couple of weeks. It takes me usually 1 to 2 weeks to do about 20 stones.
Oh my gosh, that's such a big amount of time because are you able to like work on one piece and you have to back up from that while it dries so you can add more? Is that
Yes.
how that works?
Yeah, well, because I guess everybody has their own process. For me, it's evolved. And generally, what I do is I try to pick a color palette first. So the alcohol inks are when you lay down alcohol and then you put these different colors of alcohol ink. It's very smelly, it's very messy, but it makes um, these beautiful colors that, if you mix them right, they turn out really amazing. And then other times I just get out my acrylic paints and I just start painting, and I try to not control things because I'm a control freak. So I like to just let it flow. And it's kind of wonky when I do that. And then after all that, is dry, then I sit down, and it's different. Sometimes I think of words or a phrase that I want to use and I might write it down and then create the piece around it. Other times I'll start with just doing little details and swirls and things like that. And then the saying will come forward after that. So it's just something that moves and shifts, I guess, depending on the day, how aligned I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it
I would
changes.
I would think you're very intuitively kind of driven or guided with the
Hmm.
art that you're doing because it seems it's that way within all of your art. It feels very spiritual and very connected.
Hmm. And I love that so much because my whole life, I've been very intuitive. I've done a lot of intuitive healings and readings, but I never trusted myself. Plus, way back when I was doing it more full time, people would say, "Oh, that's so woo woo. That's so it's not real," and all that stuff. So I really doubted myself. But over the years, I've had so many things happen to me that just shows me, no, you're right in alignment. You're right where you need to be, and more people need to tune into what you're doing. The intuition. And the funny thing is that when I create a piece of art or stone or whatever it is, and I'm trying to make it happen versus being in flow, you can tell because I get stuck, I struggle, it doesn't happen. People don't, they like it, but they don't really buy it, quickly. It sits around for a while. But when I'm in flow, you would not believe how fast people snatch it up. It finds its person and they find it really quickly. And so there are just so many signs of being in flow or, being stuck and trying to make things happen.
Well, thank goodness we don't live in the era where people, I mean, if someone told me, well, that's a bunch of
Hooey.
baloney
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the intuitive stuff, I would just probably say a little prayer for them because
Right.
they're not really at a place where I'm at.
Right.
So it's nice that we don't have to buy into any of that anymore.
No, and I think, now there's this over the edge thing with the way that, because we're in a collapse, the world is, and it's supposed to be doing what it's doing. We're moving into a newer,
Hmm.
higher frequency. But now there are people that are coming forward that are gurus that are being, thrown under the bus because they have not been in integrity. It's interesting. You have to really find your footing, and I think there are always signs. But um, let's face it, we're born intuitive beings. We're spiritual beings. It's it's clear. Everybody has that gift if they want to tap into it. And I've become more unapologetic about it, I guess. Just like you, I love that. I'll say a prayer for somebody. I used to just crawl into my shell and I'm like, oh, there's something wrong with me. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm exactly where I need to be and who I am, is exactly who I need to be. So, yeah, it's interesting times. Let's just say that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, for those people out there that are not in alignment, you know who you are.
Yeah.
We don't need to
Yes.
name names.
Right. Exactly. That's funny.
Oh my goodness. Well, your work yeah, I want to kind of pivot because I think this is just such a good time to talk about your other artwork that you do. And it's often described as very high vibrational and intuitive, kind of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
So, what does that mean to you when you're creating a piece?
I love that question. And like I said, just a few minutes ago, I was talking about um, being in a state of flow, or I don't know if you ever heard of an AO scanner. I used to have an AO scanner, which is supposed to, be one of those things that you're able to infuse or embed frequencies into things. And I've had so many people try to sell things to me. Oh, buy this so you can infuse your artwork. And I did that for a while, and I prayed over my artwork for a while, and I used various beads and all kinds of, things. But what I found that I know over the last year and a half, I guess, maybe 2 years, is that all of a sudden I realized I don't need all those things. I don't need those tools. If somebody wants to use that, that's fine. I'm not, judging anybody, but we are the tool. So if we spend time in stillness, if we spend time to align, then we become the channel, the clear channel that things come through. And so I know that whatever comes through when I feel it and I lay it down is high vibrational. And I also know I've had the most amazing testimonials. People get my artwork, and a lot of people who do stuff that I don't do. I don't, I believe in astrology and all that, but I don't really dabble in all of that. But people say you have codes that are coming through that are embedded, and people have, had situations heal and they've received money and all kinds of things have happened. And so I just kind of sit back and I'm always in awe because it's nothing I've done intentionally to make that happen. It's just I allow the things to come through me, to flow through me. And they end up on a canvas or they end up on a stone and people feel it and they actually see shifts because of it. So that's the beauty of it. That's the proof, I guess you would say.
Oh, I love that. That's so
Mm,
amazing. Well, do you know what?
thank
It's
you.
interesting because the Santorini stone that I purchased, like the kindness stone,
Mm,
really had a lot of energy coming from it that I was able
mm.
to pick up. And that's why I chose that one.
Well, it was yours. You know how I always say every piece of art has its person. So, yeah, you two are attached. You're connected,
Without a doubt.
without a doubt.
Well, and I know that you've used so many different mediums over the
Hmm.
years, from
Yeah.
like watercolor, acrylic flow painting.
Mm.
So, how has your painting evolved as time has gone on? I'd love to hear about that.
I love that question because, I did watercolor my whole entire life. And when I look back, I never thought I was any good, but I look back at stuff I've done and I was like, wow, I'm pretty good. I just didn't trust myself. And then when I did the flow painting, that was after I closed down my coaching business. That was, after COVID or during COVID or whatever. I just decided things were too hard and I wanted to do something that was fun. And the flow painting, I got really excited about. And I don't do it anymore because it's very messy and I don't have the space. But I'm also, I've evolved into something else right now. But with the flow painting, it was so cool. Um, I would make paintings that I would just make. I would just create them. They would come through me. And almost every single one of them had um, totems in them, like birds. I have one in my living room that has a huge Pegasus, which I never, it's very clear it's a Pegasus that came out of the paint. Like I didn't paint it because flow painting, you just use a specific technique, you put the colors in, and then it kind of, comes out however it comes out. And so all these things along the way have really shaped my artistic voice by helping me to trust myself more, just to move on to the next thing and the next thing. Like this past 2 years, I've learned more about mixed media, collage, all of these things. And now I'm in love with that more than I am just regular painting, because a regular painting to me feels boring without all that fun mixed media, richness, texture, and, all that stuff. So it's just really interesting if you, allow yourself to experiment and kind of go with the flow and just check things out. It really does evolve into all kinds of things that I'm sure I'm not done evolving yet. This is where I am today. But every single medium I've used, every single technique I've used, it's fun because you add those things to your toolbox and then you're able to add those to whatever you're creating. And so it becomes very rich and you have a very full toolbox full of things that you can use. And it just has created some, I don't know if you've seen the ones with the suns and all the things that I've done recently, but they're so
Hmm.
rich and they're so much fun and there's so much going on in them. And it's just, I don't know. It's just a beautiful thing. I'm glad that I'm, allowing myself to play.
They're extremely dynamic. I was looking at them today, actually,
Oh,
and just
yeah.
looking at, yeah, your art's so beautiful. My goodness. And I'm so grateful that you're sharing that with us. Was there ever a period where you kind of stepped away from your art?
Oh, yeah. Several times when I lost my house back in 2007, all of my artwork burned up, obviously. And it was hard for me to want to go back to doing anything. And that's back when I was just doing watercolor. And my wonderful daughter, one day when I was sitting in the the backyard, and she brought me a pad and I think some pencils, color pencils and paintbrushes and, some paint. And she said, Mama, you need to just start this again. So I started dabbling. Um, it's an interesting experience when you lose everything. It's kind of like you feel like you lose your identity. So you feel like you're starting over. And especially things that you loved that you held on to. My mom always held on to all my artwork. And then as she got older, I brought all of it to my home and I was thinking I should have left it at my mom's house. but but it, it's I found that again when you allow yourself to go through grief of any kind and you can get back to again creating anything, even I've been learning. I worked with a teacher in Aptos, California, and we're actually going on a retreat to Greece in October with her. But I've been learning how to go deeper with sketching and watercolor, which to me is hard, but it's it's not something I do all the time. And when I went to that retreat, I started out feeling very unsure and uncertain. And when I stepped away, I couldn't believe what came through me. So anytime you trust yourself, you just play with things and you just kind of get out of the way, you can literally transform grief. You can transform anger. You can transform hopelessness because again, it's a way of expressing whatever you're holding. It's an expression of life. It's healing. So it was tough to get back into it again, but once I did, it just started, you know, going from there.
Well, I'm so glad your daughter came and had a talk with you.
Me
And
too.
because it is so hard when you go through a dramatic loss like that, where everything is gone. And
Hmm.
it's like, okay, it's hard to feel like putting things back together.
Yeah, it is. And but it's a there again, even that was filled with lessons, and I grew and changed from all of it. So I have to say, I know when people hate when I say this a lot of times, that life is happening for us. And that's even hard to say if somebody's lost a child or there's been something very traumatic, in a personal way. But I still honestly believe, if you look back over your life, you can see how life has happened for you. You can see the fruits of what happened, and the lessons that you learned. And I guess some people choose not to learn the lessons, but for me, everything that happens makes me who I am fully. And it's beautiful. I mean, at 67, I've had a lot of things happen, and I like who I am. I like who I've become and who I'm becoming.
I think that's a great place to be. A lot of people can't say the same thing. A
Hmm.
lot of people struggle with that. So, but it is when we look at life as happening with us, I mean, or for us, I mean, what a great opportunity that is.
Well, and I think it takes us out of victimhood. I was a victim for many years. And when things would happen, I would say, why is this happening to me? Until I kind of woke up. I think the fire was, it was in my book, and, but it really truly is. I call it a turning point. We have many turning points, big ones and small ones. But if we don't use that to kind of explore and examine and see things that led up to it, and what happens after it, then we are stuck. We're stagnant. We don't grow. And I know some people who have never grown, and it's sad. They have sad, pathetic lives. And that is a personal choice. Truly, you can choose to be depressed. You can choose to be angry. You can choose to stay stuck in your ways. But, I don't want to live that way. But again, there again, it's everybody's choice.
Yes,
That
without a
sounds
doubt.
harsh, but it's true.
Well, there are lots of decisions to be made when we talk about choices.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
we choose how we show up in the world. We choose how we're going to be part of the world. So there are a lot
Mhm.
of choices there.
Yeah.
One of the things I love, and you touched on this a little bit, but I want to dive further into it, is how your art pieces are infused with intention and energy. How do you translate something unseen into something visual and physical?
That is such a great question. And that is a deep question. And I don't have the answers to all of that question. But again, I think that I do Qigong, and I've always been an energy person, and I'm dabbling in dowsing now. I was working with Marie Diamond this past week and found out some new things that I'm very excited about. So I'm always open to becoming more, learning more, and all about energy, because energy changes. We're in a different time now where things don't work quite the way they used to energetically. We're at a much higher frequency, and I'm not sure how that all translate. As a light being, I'm not really sure what my job is, other than at this point, to be the light and to share the light. That's all I know at this point. But if you can take time with anything you do, this isn't just what art or whatever, this is anything, any business you have, anything you do, what you do this as well. When you are able to align with the divine, I guess, and not everybody believes in the divine. I believe that there's this power, this energy that is unseen, that is moving and shifting and doing all these things. I also feel like it has my back, even though life has not been easy. There's always been people to support me in big ways and love me. But when you tap into that, which is, and I like to call it your inner guidance, when you tap into that knowing, um, that feeling, those downloads where you know that you know that you know, and you're not really sure how that happened, but it happened. When you're able to start living from that space intuitively, and I used to teach this because I think it's the first piece of really doing anything. You can call it spiritual, but just really finding your flow. A lot of people talk about this when they talk about manifestation, law of attraction, all that. You have to be the one that aligns to that frequency. Otherwise, you're swimming upstream. I know that your viewers and listeners probably know about Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks, and Abraham. And she always talks about, as long as you're flowing downstream, then all the information comes to you. But if you're paddling upstream, you might as well forget it. It's going to be really tough. So I'm still amazed at what becomes embedded or infused into my artwork, because it's not something I do um, with intention, as far as, I'm going to infuse this, I'm going to embed this with high frequencies. Again, it's me. It's like I'm the paintbrush. I'm the channel. I'm I'm the arm that the divine or the intuit, the innate is moving. And so it's interesting because we're all energy, right? Everything is energy. Everything. And so whenever you are able to let that flow through you, it translates into something, some kind of creation. And I told you earlier where people would just tell me, your stuff is embedded with codes. And I'm like, what? What does that mean? I don't do codes. I don't know what that means. Or the people that have had the experiences just from receiving my art and having my art. I get messages from people all the time. Thank you. I love your artwork. I feel so happy when I look at it. I feel joy. I mean, I just get these messages and it uplifts me. And that's why I keep doing what I do. But so everything is really unseen, right? We're 3D. This is an illusion. This isn't real anyway. So just being the clear channel. And I don't know if you want to talk about that at some point, but I can talk a little bit about how to be a clear channel so that
Oh,
you're able to do
yeah.
that more fully.
Let's dive into that.
Okay. I love that. You're so easy to talk to. Go with the flow. I love it.
Go with the flow.
Right? Well, the thing is that most people are doom scrolling on social media. I did that for a while just to kind of figure out what was going on. And then I was like, I can't do this. It's hurting me. Right? So when you refuse to have people around you that are complainers and downers and negative, if you can, I know if it's family, it's hard. And when you choose to say, I need to create a new habit, like this isn't working for me, this life, and I want to tap into this unseen, whatever it is, this energy, then I always tell people to start super small. There's so many things that you can do. But for me, I remember back in 2007, probably before I lost my house, I was reading Eckhart Tolle. And I was doing his practices of sitting and looking at trees blowing in the wind. And I will tell you, I had the most mystical spiritual experiences just sitting and focusing on blowing trees in the wind, being in nature, or thinking about someone you really love and feeling the higher vibration of that. Those are all kinds of things that can generate opening that door to the greater intuition that you are, and hearing it. It's something you actually have to practice, and it's not always easy at first because it does take practice. But I would say getting still, getting away from things that are negative or scary, awareness, and also breathing. Breathing is really amazing. Just a couple of deep breaths and calming down and putting your focus on something else, or sitting in your backyard or taking a walk. There are so many things that you can do, intentional things, to start to get still and align yourself with a different frequency. So that's just the beginning. There are more, but that's, if somebody's brand new to this, those are great places to start.
I mean, we've got to start somewhere. And for folks that are trying to get into the flow, it's
Mhm.
always difficult to know sometimes, where do I start with this?
Well, it is. And let's face it, online and everywhere else, we're being sold supplements 24/7. We're being sold programs for energy and healing. And, it's after a while, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't take this anymore. And trust me, I bought into a lot of that stuff, and a lot of stuff didn't work. So it's not something you need to buy into. It's something you can do yourself. I mean, the cool thing is that you just have to make the choice. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to get off of social media. I'm going to stop watching the news on television. I can watch it enough to be informed, but I don't need to stay and get sucked into the fear. And then I am going to do something that creates peace. Take a walk and listen to the birds. And if it's sunny out, soak in the sun. Or again, I always love whenever I think about my daughter when she was born, because it was just such a miraculous experience for me. I'll sit there and I'll cry and my vibes will just go through the roof. So people can play with this, and there are all kinds of books and all kinds of things they can do, but they don't need anything to start, really. They just have to make the choice and then, experiment.
I know you've said that art is meant to uplift and inspire. So, how do you know when a piece has achieved that emotionally or maybe energetic impact?
I think I said this before. First of all, when somebody buys my painting after it's been done a half a day, then I know that I was in flow because it connected with somebody instantaneously. And generally, when that happens, doing a piece of art, which can take me weeks, months. Sometimes I work over ones, pieces that didn't sell and I redo them, and that can take me time. But the process is easy. Like I'm not sitting and thinking about what to do with it. I actually just allow it to come through me. And it's amazing because sometimes I sit back and go, how did I do that? I don't even know how I did that. Like I couldn't redo that again if you paid me. So between that and then the testimonials I receive and the fact that I have collectors all over the world that keep buying from me. They just say that my pieces uplift their space. And that's what, that's my intention. And I guess I said that initially when I first started doing my art more as a business, but as I had more and more people buying over and over again and telling me about these experiences, it solidified my knowing that this really is a spiritual, energetic thing that I'm doing. And it does impact people's lives in a big way if I stay in the flow.
I love that. I'm not surprised your art's all around the world.
Oh,
Not at all.
I'm grateful.
Oh my goodness. Well, talk about being grateful. I want to talk about Zero Limits,
Mm,
the
yeah,
movie.
the movie.
So you're featured in the movie, which is just amazing. And I'm not surprised, but it explores living beyond perceived limitations. So
Mhm.
what does zero limits mean in your own life?
That's a big question because I live with somebody who, um, he lives what he teaches. And in a way that I've never seen anybody do. It's frustrating. Like, look, you're human. We're allowed to have bad days. We're allowed to have doubts and all that stuff. But he is a real amazing um, role model for me in so many ways, and he loves me with all my limitations anyway. But zero limits to me means absolutely that everything's possible. Anything is possible. And like I said, I struggle sometimes with my limitations and old beliefs, like everybody else does. I mean, it's just we're human and that happens. But when I look back, and I can't even remember what I called this anymore, it was like a journal of some sort, and I had a name for it. But there were times when I've seen miracles in my life over and over. But if I would go back through my life, especially big moments and even some small moments, and I saw that there was always spiritual support. I mean, literally, I had when I was a kid. I mean, I almost died several times, and I was led, and I saw things happen that literally like turned my car a certain direction. There were things that happened that were miraculous, whether they were angels or whatever they were. It was very real. And so I look back over my life and I remind myself, I have been through a lot of stuff and I have been divinely guided, divinely led, supported, protected, even in the worst situations. And so I think zero limits is something that people really want to learn about because, gosh, if we were just like what Joe teaches about Ho'oponopono, where you have to get back to the whiteboard, which is the 0 point. That's the source. That's where everything happens, and there's nothing around it to stop you. If we could all remember that that's who we are, we could do amazing things. There would be truly no zero limits, but of course, our conditioning and our beliefs and all that stuff get in the way. So It means I'm still working on it. I believe it. I've seen it. And there are times that I feel like I've achieved something without limitation, and there are other times that I feel like I need more mindset work, and and I think that's just normal. I think we're always learning until we're off the planet.
I understand
Right.
that. I
Yeah.
understand that. Ho'oponopono is something that I've really gravitated to when Joe's first started teaching it back in the day. I
Mm-hmm.
was all over that like white on rice, and I told him recently I had the books. I had the
Yeah.
zero limit books, and they would all find feet, which is fine. They
Hmm.
end up going where they're supposed to.
Yeah.
So, how have these ideas influenced, especially Ho'oponopono, because it's so transformational? How have these ideas influenced your creative work or the kindness stones?
Mm. Well, I adopted the four phrases um, a long time ago. I didn't start it initially because I didn't really know that much about Ho'oponopono, but I saw people that knew Joe and people that I was meeting, and they had certain situations in their lives that were really tough, like surgeries and health challenges and money, all these things. And they would just literally say the four phrases, which and I want to explain because a lot of people still don't know what the four phrases mean. And I say it in this order. You can say it in any order you want, but I say, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. Those are the four phrases. And so it's not about forgiving someone else. It's about whenever something comes into your life that you're uncomfortable with, a person, a situation, something that makes you feel odd or off, then you say the four phrases: I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. And what you're doing is you're clearing and cleaning on yourself, because if it's true about the law of attraction, right? We attract to us who we are, what we're emitting, the frequency that we're emitting. And so we're basically asking spirit, the divine, God, whatever you want to call that energy, to clean and clear our our beliefs, our interpretations, our judgments, the things that are incorrect that are actually causing the situation that is happening to us, for us, however you want to say that. So I started doing that, and like when we go in the sauna, we have an infrared sauna, and every time I go in there, I just repeat over and over, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Joe does it all the time, all day long. And it does bring me a lot of peace. And I haven't used it in, well, it's not true. I have used it in some situations where I've actually, like for my daughter, when I think there was one time we had a situation where things were not going well. And I had just started cleaning and clearing on myself, saying those four phrases, because I knew that whatever was happening, there are things called projections, and other people are mirrors of us and stuff like that. So it's really interesting how other people react and act towards us because of what we're emitting. And when I did that for a while, I mean, the whole situation turned around completely. And it was pretty miraculous. And I hear stories like this all the time from people that, have read Joe's books and they practice it and they know it. And so for me, again, doing that is staying a clear and clean channel. So when you're creating anything, whether that's the kindness stones or paintings or anything that you might do, when you clean and clear daily, it's it's how you become, it's one of the ways that you become a clear channel, because you're clearing, you're getting back to that whiteboard, you're getting back to the 0 point, the divine source. And in that moment you are perfect, right? We don't have all those things clouding our judgment, but we are. So when you stay a clear channel as much as you possibly can, um, you're able to bring things through that are supposed to come through for the world and for yourself. And so it's for me, it's an ongoing practice, but I think all of these practices really have helped me to elevate, who I am and how I do my work.
Well, I know the film really focuses on miracles and personal transformation. What message did you want viewers and our listeners to take away from your story?
There's a lot of things in the movie about Ho'oponopono, but also, just like you said, personal transformation. And I think one person said at one point, there are too many things. I think somebody said, I took away about the Ho'oponopono. I said, that's great. That's all you need. All you need is one thing, so something that resonated with you that you might want to work on. And so for me, I think it's that we all have unlimited potential. Again, life is always happening for us, but we still need to, stay out of our heads, connect, learn to listen to our gut, our inner guidance, our intuition, which always leads us in the right direction. And I think this is the cool thing, because I asked Joe at the end of the film, I think something like, what gets you so, cranked up about the zero limits topic? But it's because he really believes that we don't have limitations. He studies, he reads books, he does counseling, therapy. He's constantly working on himself, constantly trying to be a clear channel so he can bring more things through for people, to support people in their journey. And, he's human too. He has stuff happen as well. But he doesn't let that stop him. And, when he really gets into the flow, again, miracles happen. Things open up that you couldn't control if you wanted to. You know how they always say that you can have a what or a why, but you can't, the how isn't up to us, it's up to source. It's how that happens, we don't know. We just put the request out there, and if we're a clear channel and if we stay in the right space, miracles and magic do happen. And so I think people, again, I want to give people hope with the message, because people think, that they're victims. They feel that they're victims. Even what's happening now in the world, and I've talked to Joe about this a lot because I've struggled with my own, I grew up in a house where they said, save money, don't spend it. But in reality, money has to circulate. That's the way it is. That's how it works. So we all have grown up with a lot of these, limiting beliefs that aren't really true. We got them from our parents. So a lot of people feel hopeless, powerless, and they see things happening. But that's, again, and a lot of times they don't even know it's because of the choices that they're making or the people that they're around. So I guess my biggest prayer is that people will have opportunities to wake up and to know that they do have power, that the power is within them. And if they really want to get out of their situations, prayer always helps. I still pray. I really believe that if we ask, that it's answered at some point through exactly the means that we need to hear it. And so we have to tap into our power. And the unlimited potential is true. I think that's something that we might get to not right away, but it is there. It's very true, because we are the divine. We are the divine in human form. Does that make sense? I'm going on a little bit.
No, it makes perfect sense. I'm glad that you took the time to share that. I mean, I thought the movie was just such a I love the movie. I've watched it
Oh,
many times,
thank you.
especially your part.
Oh
It was
my
just such
gosh.
amazing. So,
I I don't love seeing myself on camera, especially as I get older, but it's there for the world to see.
well, I think everyone had such important value to add, and
Yeah.
it's such a place where people can. There's so many voices we're adding to this space of personal growth.
Hmm.
So, what made you say yes to being part of this project?
Well, can I be honest?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, Joe had asked me to be in the movie. And of course, I was like, I don't, and he's like, yeah, I want to show people your art and all the other stuff that you've done. And I was like, okay, so I did say yes. I also wanted to support his vision because this movie was a long time in coming. He had wanted something for a long, long time. It took us several years. We had people coming to the house and filming, and it was a long couple of years. It was really fun, and so I wanted to support his vision because it was important to him. I also wanted people to know that they have, true power. Like in my portion, I did a little, they did a little portion on me about my qigong and about my art as well, about, just staying in the flow. I think, what did I say my lesson was? It was surrender or something like that. I can't remember. Um, but I wanted people to know that, we all struggle and that there are tools that they can use. And the cool thing about the movie is that there's so many people that give different tools and, ways that people can grow and align and all that kind of stuff and be all that they came here to be. So for me, in reality, it's just a really great thing. And I think it would be a great movie at any point in time, but I thought it was interesting, the timing with all that's going on in the world right now, because so many people are scared, they're depressed, they don't know which way things are going to go. And it's funny living with somebody like Joe. He said something, and I want to share this with your listeners because I think it's really important, it's profound, and it really impacted me, is when he said, the future hasn't been written yet. There's so many things out there saying that this is going to happen, all this doom and gloom and everything. But what you have to do is you have to choose a different mindset. And you have to remember that even the best soothsayer or somebody who's doing predictions, or all these people, they've been right before, but they're not God. They don't know what's going to happen. They have no idea. And when Joe said that to me, that the future has not been written yet. So we don't know what it's going to look like. And that's really true for our whole lives, right? It doesn't matter if we're at war or there's anything happening. Every day is an unknown. When we get up, we don't know what's going to happen that day. So we get to choose where we want to focus. And so this movie was and is something I think people can really hold on to. And what I love about it also is that there's so many people in the movie. We're just real people that are doing things in the world that we're supposed to be doing. And people can see that you don't have to be rich and famous. You don't have to be all-knowing. You don't have to know any of that stuff. It's like people are getting results by using tools and putting their focus on, focusing on the good, focusing on the possibilities as opposed to the limitations. And so this movie, I think, is really going to help a lot of people get through this chapter for what's going on right now.
So much great advice. My goodness, Lisa, I always love spending time with you. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
Well, thank you for asking. My Kindness Stones store in Shopify has just been put up. I have not really launched it yet, but I have had many sales already. I'm grateful. And so that's new, but it's up and people can take a peek at what I do as I evolve with that. And that's kindnessstones.com, kindnessstones.com. I am also redoing my website, and that's where I'm going to be putting more of my canvas art. And that one is art.lisaawinston.com. And then I can be found on Facebook and Instagram, Lisa A. Winston, Facebook, Lisa Winston. You can find me. I'm all over the place. Thank you for asking.
And on the movie, of course, Zero
and
Limits.
On the movie. Yep, that's right. That's right.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Lisa. It's always such a treat to spend time with you. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You're listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary. A recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.